Today, we're going to talk about some Jurassic World shorts, various short films or TV show episodes that fall somewhere in between the last Jurassic World film we talked about and the next one we're going to talk about. Welcome back to Geek Channel 8. I'm Eric.
And I'm Will.
I have a little rule here about films that are period pieces.
Oh yeah.
What is my rule?
You really like to watch things in sequence.
Yes, chronological order. So I have an exception to this rule. That is, if I have the opportunity to see something on the big screen, I will often take it. So I saw a film set in the 1930s called The Rabbi's Cat.
Whoa.
This is based on a graphic novel, and it's basically about a rabbi in what would be called Algeria today in North Africa who has a cat, or more accurately, his daughter has a cat who one day eats the family parrot and gains the ability to talk. And so then the cat decides it wants to have a bar mitzvah. The rabbi will not allow a cat to have a bar mitzvah, and eventually turns into a road movie where the rabbi and an Islamic holy man and the cat travel on a half track across the Sahara Desert in search of a lost African tribe of Jews or something along those lines. That's basically it. And it's
Wow.
a lot of philosophy and religion is discussed. I don't know how I feel about this. I can't say it was 100% thumbs up in that it's a little bit dry, so it's not for everyone. I think it would be of interest to people who can appreciate adult animation.
Hmm.
Imagine if Kiki's Delivery Service, instead of having a cute cat and a cute girl, had an old guy and a not cute cat that talks. There is some elements of magic realism in it, so it's not completely without the supernatural. It's much more realistic, and fans of like the animated film Persepolis, also based on a graphic novel set in the Middle East, that might also appeal to that same person. So that's kind of the demographic for this, which brings up the whole idea of, is animation for kids? Because it seems like in the United States anyway, all animation, or virtually all animation, with some rare exceptions, is geared toward kids. And I don't know why.
If I had to guess, it had something to do with the comics codes. But honestly, what I find amazing is I will never forget this. When my youngest, I was showing him something from when I was a kid. He was watched it for a little while, it was animated, and he's like, "So where's the character development? What's the overarching plot for this?" And I was like, "What?" because they were still little. I think they might have been 9 or something. I don't know, but this is what we're soaked in now. And his expectations for an animated anything was much higher. Way before that, I tried showing him Popeye, and his criticism was just as pointed, if not, scholarly. It was basically like, so all they do is beat each other up. I'm like, creatively.
Well, there is a Popeye mini movie, like not the live action feature film. I'm talking about a mini animated film from way back in the day. I don't know how long it was. It may have only been 20 minutes long. It may have been 30. It was along the lines of, what's Opera Doc or whatever. I
Oh wow.
think it was based on Sinbad. I don't recall. I believe it was in black and white, but it had a story and not just them beating each other up. So
There you go.
people have been trying to do stuff, but it seems like in the US, animation equals cartoons equals for kids.
Mm.
So that brings us to today's first short, quote unquote, that we're going to talk about, which is actually an episode from the Netflix series Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. We're talking about season 3, episode 8, an episode that is titled Escape from Isla Nublar. First, let me tell you what Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous is. It's a series that begins with a dinosaur enthusiast named Darius Bowman, who earns a spot at Camp Cretaceous, a special dinosaur themed camp on Isla Nublar. This is on the other side of the island from the theme park. Alongside some fellow campers, Kenji, Brooklyn, Yaz, Ben, and Sammy, Darius experiences the adventure of a lifetime, and they're there when the events of the previous movie, Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, happens and the dinosaurs escape, right? So they have to, without any adults to guide them, they have to rely on each other and survive and find a way off the island, which has been evacuated, right? If you remember.
Yeah.
I'm going to mess up the names of some of these actors because I'm not that familiar with them, but the voice cast, the main character, I think, is Paul Michael Williams or Michael Williams. That's Darius Bowman. He's like determined, knowledgeable dinosaur fan from Oakland who's sort of the leader of the group. Sean Giambroni plays Ben Pincus, who's a timid camper who forms a strong bond with a baby ankylosaur named Bumpy. Kawsar Muhammad plays Yaz Fadula, an athletic and tough camper who grows emotionally closer to Sammy Gutierrez, who's voiced by Rainy Rodriguez. Jenna Ortega plays Brooklyn, a social media influencer with pink hair who eventually begins a relationship with Ryan Potter's character Kenji Khan, a wealthy and boastful camper with a hidden vulnerable side. Like all these series, that's not the stars. The stars are the dinos, all right? And this has Rexy, the Tyrannosaurus Rex from the franchise so far. It has the Velociraptors Blue, Charlie, Delta, and Echo. It has the Indominus Rex and the Mosasaurus. New creatures introduced in this are Bumpy the Ankylosaurus, Toro the Carnotaurus, seems to be a recurring dinosaur in a lot of these now. There's the hybrid Scorpius Rex, and the first prehistoric mammal to appear in the series so far, a Smilodon. Other highlights include the return of the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3 and the introduction of various hybrids like the Spinoceratops pair, Angel and Rebel. Production on Camp Cretaceous began in April 2017 after Zach Stentz pitched the idea to Universal Pictures. It was announced in 2019 as a collaboration between Netflix, Universal Pictures, Amblin Entertainment, and DreamWorks Animation. Spielberg insisted that the series maintain the danger and stakes of the films rather than be toned down for children. So the showrunners took inspiration from Spielberg's work with children facing peril, deliberately putting the teen protagonists in life-threatening situations without adult intervention. So Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous debuted on September 18th of 2020 with the second season released January 22nd of 2021. The third and fourth seasons followed on May 21st, 2021 and December 3rd of 2021 and in July 21st of 2022. And then a standalone interactive special Hidden Adventure was released on November 15th of 2022. That second season that was released in January was set 6 months before the events of Fallen Kingdom and explored themes like animal trafficking and big game hunting. And it allowed them a little more freedom to tell original stories because it was set before, in the past. But then in season 3, it moved forward. Season 4 introduced a new island outside the established canon that reintroduced the Spinosaurus. And then the fifth and final season was released on July 21st of 2022 and concluded the character arcs and the major plot threads. And it had an interactive special called Hidden Adventure, which allowed fans to experience a new experience set in an abandoned theme park. and Bill Nye is a guest voice on that one. It got generally positive reviews. It at the 48th Annie Awards, it won Outstanding Achievement for Animated Effects. All right, so let's jump in and talk about this. It's the 8th episode of the 3rd season. I picked this one because it's a pivotal episode. It opens with two Scorpios Rexes engaging in battle. All right. This was a contender for Dino Battle of the Week, but is not the actual Dino Battle of the Week this week. But it was a close contender.
Yeah.
So Darius and Ben, like, they take shelter in a limousine. The rest of the group returns to the island in search of their friends. Okay, first impressions.
Wow. Okay. I was impressed that this thing was the tone where it's like, oh, wow, this is dark. This is serious. This ain't no joke. That's what I got from the very beginning. It's like, oh, okay. I mean, it is still, like, okay, this is flavor for kids. Though we always joke in my house, if it's TV 14 or whatever, it's going to have more serious themes than an adult movie or show. And if it's TVY7, then it's going to have like dark psychological horror, because apparently that's what it encourages people to do. But yeah, that's my first impressions. I'm like, oh, they're taking this very seriously.
Which is this, TV7 or TV14?
I'm gonna put it on along 14. They have serious themes here. I don't know about dark psychological horror. That not so much.
Why does it have to be for kids? I don't know.
I think that we it's one of those things where it's like it's quote for kids, which it's kind of like all the post-apocalyptic stuff that we see that's for quote for kids that appeals to adults. It's because look, I can't show boobs, I can't show this, I can't do that. I guess I'll just have to settle for serious themes that might actually affect people in an emotional way. Oh well, I mean, it's almost like it pushes them towards that.
Okay, but immediately right off the bat, I look at this and I see one. I love the character models and animations of the dinosaurs.
Yeah,
they look super cool. I do not love the character models of the teens. It looks like it was made for kids.
Right.
They did not put a lot of detail into the kids. There's, I guess, an anime influence there. I don't know. They have sort of big eyes and big heads, and there's no muscle tone in their bodies. Not that teens have a lot of muscle, but
right.
Structurally they look kind of bland and carbon copied from each other.
It's funny because it's sort of like, it's like, well, we got, I mean, these are our characters. We have to depict them, but like we're going to really lavish all the detail on the dinosaurs, all the animation detail, and then we just need something to get the story across here. And you know what? I mean, I don't love that.
It's better than the other way around. I would have been really pissed if they spent all the time on the character animation of the humans and then the dinosaurs look crappy.
Right. That's fair. And, honestly, I have a lot of history, and you do too, enjoying media where it's like, well, that could be better. What about the story, though? What about the special effects? Yes, but like, what about the story? Of course, the classic is Doctor Who, where at this point, they got to go out of the way to not make it look too good because that just breaks too much with the past. But yeah, it's like, okay, let's move past the fact that these cartoon characters are so cartoonish. We know that they could do better than that. And it's just like that wasn't the point. And I don't know, maybe they even purposely made them that way.
Well, I mean, story is always king. I've said it before. I used to like on Liquid Television stick person theater, where it's just like they would redo movie scenes with like stick figures, Okay, so they find this tranquilizer gun. Darius attempts to shoot one of the Scorpios Rexes, but misses. So then they get chased by them, and they basically run into the old visitor center, which seems to be the place everybody goes to escape dinosaurs.
Everybody.
And they kill the hybrids by collapsing it on them, which is important because this is the last time we will see the visitor center in any of the Jurassic Park franchise. They have officially destroyed it.
Yeah, finally.
So at the dock, the campers prepare to depart the island by boat, and Ben originally says he's going to stay, but then he has a last minute change of heart and swims out to the boat, which I would never jump in the waters around Isla Nublar, but
Nope.
he did. There's this Brachiosaurus sauri that herd that comes down the road, and they have to run from. If a bunch of brachiosaurs are coming down the road, don't run in the direction they're already going. Like, run to the right or the left off of the road, right? Like, I'm like, they nearly get trampled to death by these things because they decide to run away in the same direction the brachiosaurs are planning on coming. All right. So my overall impression about this show is I like that they did not tone down the violence or the mature themes. I did not like the character designs for the humans. I also think it relies too heavily on tropes that have come before. So, there's the car in the tree.
Hmm.
There's the following the tracks. There's the visitor center. There's all of that stuff. There's also a shot for shot remake of the kitchen scene from the first episode. Like everything from the falling ladle to it's like they just watch it and they're like, okay, remake that scene exactly like it was in the first movie. It is identical. Anyway, so I have not seen any other episodes from this series other than this one episode. I'm hoping that that is unique to just this episode and that the whole series isn't just redoing scenes from the past movies.
Yeah. I mean, okay, how can I put this? I feel like that there's, and we'll just say in this whole our thing we're reviewing today, there's a lot of like, look, we tried being really creative. Let's try to do things we already know that work, and it's not all bad, honestly. But we'll get into that for sure.
Right. Well, I mean, having the two Scorpios Rexes fight, that was a little bit different. Like there are some differences. The baby Brachiosaurus, that was different. Not that we haven't seen baby animals or running from, dinosaurs before, but my issue with the kitchen scene is not that they ran and hid in the kitchen. That's fine. It's that they shot for shot remade the kitchen scene. But overall, assuming that this quality is maintained across the entire series, it's a thumbs up for me. I'm probably going to go back and watch it sometime.
I'm afraid that for me the animation is too it hurts too much. I tried doing this with Clone Wars because everyone's like, "Oh no, you gotta watch it. It's really good, actually." I'm like, "Okay, you're telling me this is prequel stuff that's good." Tried it. For me, it was the robots and that and the animation again. But yeah, I would totally watch it with my kid if I could get them to watch it and they liked it. But they have their own ideas. I couldn't even get them to watch Arcane, which is freaking fantastic. I had to wait till one of their friends was like, "Oh, you got to watch this." So now I get to watch it with them. Go figure.
Let's move on to the next short that we watched. This is a live action short,
Yeah.
Jurassic World Battle at Big Rock.
Hmm.
All right, so the idea for this film originated when Universal Studios approached Colin Trevorrow to ask if he would be interested in making a potential Jurassic World short film, and he accepted. Trevorrow co-wrote the short with Emily Carmichael, who was already working with him on the Jurassic World Dominion script. The story of the short remained consistent throughout its development because Trevorrow felt that it was a natural progression for the franchise to explore what would happen if everyday people, in this case campers, encountered dinosaurs following the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Remember, at the end of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, the dinosaurs are released into the wider world, thus the name and Ian
Yeah.
Malcolm's statement, "Welcome to Jurassic World." So, to keep the project secret, no auditions or casting calls were held. Instead, a casting director who was familiar with Trevorrow conducted discreet search for the child actors. It marked the acting debut of Melody Hurd, and Trevorrow cast Andre Holland and Natalie Martinez based on his admiration of their performances in other projects. Filming took place in Ireland in January 2019 with locations including the Powerscourt estate. Ireland was selected because the redwood trees near Dublin resembled those found in national parks in Northern California. The film was shot over 5 days with a small crew. Larry Fong served as the cinematographer. Trevorrow asked for it shot with a handheld camera for a lot of the film.
Mm.
And this was basically Trevorrow's test to see whether audiences would respond positively to handheld camera work in a Jurassic Park film. And he decided that they would, or they did. So, Industrial Light and Magic provided CGI dinosaurs for the short, and John Rosengrant of Legacy Effects contributed an animatronic Allosaurus. It was originally planned as a short that was under 8 minutes, but was later expanded. After the production wrapped, Trevorrow decided to include an end credit sequence with scenes depicting dinosaurs, but filming new material wasn't an option. So he searched YouTube for videos that could be integrated into the film, and then they bought the rights from the creators to their various vacation footage or whatever, and and dinosaurs were digitally added into
Oh,
it.
wow.
Sort of
Found footage.
crowdsourced.
Wow. That's
Yeah, found footage.
awesome.
Battle at Big Rock was officially announced on September 10th, 2019, and it premiered 5 days later on FX. Trevorrow was surprised that the project managed to remain a secret for so long. Mattel had released toys tied to the short, and a fan site had uncovered some information, but the film's existence had otherwise remained largely under wraps. And following its television premiere, in this day and age, that's almost unheard of.
Yeah, definitely.
Following its television premiere, the short was made available online via YouTube and JurassicWorld.com and NBC's website. It had originally been planned to accompany the theatrical release of Hobbs and Shaw in August 2019.
Okay.
It was later included on the Blu-ray and DVD releases of Jurassic World Dominion. Okay, so let's jump in and talk about this. This is set 1 year after the events of Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. A blended family from Oakland, California goes on a camping trip in the fictional Big Rock National Park in Northern California, about 20 miles, that's 32 kilometers, from where the dinosaurs from Fallen Kingdom were set loose. And it chronicles the first major confrontation between humans and dinosaurs. So at their campsite, this family is dining in their RV when they're suddenly greeted by a Nasutoceratops and its baby. And then to their horror, an Allosaurus emerges and a battle begins. This was another contender for Dino Battle of the Week, but alas, once again, this is not our Dino Battle of the Week. All right. It attacks the baby, and this leads to a battle with the adult Nasutoceratops.
Yeah.
And then a second adult comes and joins the fight, and the two prevail against the Allosaurus, fleeing into the woods with their baby. The Allosaurus then turns its attention to the family's RV after it hears a baby crying in
Yes. Always with that.
It's always the baby crying. It starts destroying the RV, and the family looks like this is going to be the end for them. And then the daughter shoots it with a crossbow, and it runs away, and they're kind of left grateful but shocked. During the closing credits, the found footage clips of dinosaurs and other creatures are shown, including a pack of Compsognathus, I never know how to say that one, compies, chasing after a scared little girl, a Stegosaurus that causes a car to go off of a cliff, swerve off a cliff. There's some fishermen in a boat, and they just peacefully pass a Parasaurolophus. And then There goes the shark meter because there's a great white shark that eats a baby seal and then is itself eaten by the Mosasaurus. And there's also a pteranodon swooping in at a dove that was released at a wedding. So these are the first incidences of humans and dinosaurs outside of the Jurassic Park islands of Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna encountering dinosaurs.
I like the direction with this. Overall, thumbs up. Two things. They use Chekhov's crossbow because earlier on he's like, "Hey, Dad, we were shooting the crossbow with our the neighbor across the way at the campsite." He's like, stop letting my kid use a crossbow."
So let that be a lesson to everyone out there. Let the neighbors teach your kids how to shoot crossbows.
Well, I mean, let's face it. They were even talked about there would be bears. Maybe we gotta be careful. There might be bears around. Like, look, I'm not going anywhere where there might be bears without an actual firearm, much less.
Oh, well, then you couldn't live here because we had bears in our downtown. All right.
You need to stay strapped, yo. I mean, I have nothing against their existence. I'm just like, I'm very clear that when it comes between me and a bear, and I'm not, I don't have the advantage of like, hundreds of thousands of years of human technology. I am screwed. So there's no way I would be out there without like, oh, it's like, yeah, there might be dinosaurs out in the world now. No, I'd be staying strapped, but whatever. And they didn't have them have guns, and that makes sense. It's definitely on brand for them. For you don't have kids with guns. That's a thing. But anyway, they
you don't anymore. If this was made in the 1950s, the kids would totally have a gun.
right. But
at least a BB gun.
It very okay. It reminds me of going back to like Goonies, or even more recently where we bring the slingshot into Stranger Things. And there is this whole classic arm the children, but not too much.
Well, wasn't there? Did the kids in Journey to the Beginning of Time, did they have any weaponry?
I don't think so. I don't remember them having that. Yeah, I think we would remember that. And it's also not Americans, so I don't know, different. But ultimately, that was fine. I like the overall idea. Execution was acceptable. Like you, I think we talked about this before. I'm looking forward to more of this. When you said that the end credit scenes were made with found footage, I'm like, oh yeah, because I can definitely see a little girl in there with a bunch of chickens, and they're like, "Hey, you got food?" and they're chasing her around because that's 100%. So, I mean, yeah, totally.
My favorite line in this, there's like, what does it eat? It's a dinosaur. It eats what it wants.
But you know what? Here's another thing. Okay, so I think one of the other kids is like, well, it's definitely not it's definitely this, it's definitely that. Not only do kids have, throughout, we have these kids who are really into dinosaurs, etc. Turns out that across all nations of the world, children are more apt to know the names and learn the names of animals and other things like that, even if there are no animals around. And the theory goes is that this was very important stuff for us to be able to learn for most of our existence. So we are still hardwired to learn about. It's like, yeah, I know all about giant predators or all about this or that because animals are my competitors and or potentially prey. Also, they might prey on me. I love the idea that people get into it. It's like, oh, dinosaurs exist. Well, yes, I'm about to get good about that because
okay, so what you're doing is you're effectively defending Spielberg's original film where it's like the kid that knows all the dinosaur names. Like,
yeah.
not to mention I was that kid, but they've
Well,
all
I mean,
changed since
and also,
then. So.
you remember being a kid? You actually had time to obsess over one thing versus like everything. It was like, yeah, what do I know all about this? Yes. Do I know any of that math I was supposed to know? Whatever. Okay.
All right, let's move on. The next one we're going to talk about is back to animation again. This is Jurassic World Chaos Theory, Season 3, Episode 10. Morituri te salutant. Real quick, what is Jurassic World Chaos Theory? This was an animated science fiction action adventure series on Netflix, the second TV installment in the Jurassic Park franchise, which directly follows Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous. The series, through its run, takes place before and during the events of Jurassic World Dominion, the 2022 film, which we'll
Yeah.
get to next time. The series is helmed by the showrunners Aaron Hammersley and Scott Kramer, who served as executive producers alongside Steven Spielberg, Colin Trevorrow, and Frank Marshall. So it has all the same actors from Camp Cretaceous, but new cast members Darren Barnett and Kirsten Kelly replaces Jenna Ortega because, of course, she got huge thanks to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So
Can't afford her anymore.
the first season premiered on May 24th, 2024, followed by a second season on October 17th, 2024, and a third on April 3rd, 2025.
I am amazed at how much of this exists. I had no idea. I mean, we've been watching these, Jurassic Park movies for a while. I did not know that all of this, I'm going to call it extended universe stuff existed. I'm like, I don't even want to look into comic books because they're probably comic books.
Well, see, that's the thing. You got a couple of things going on. One, everybody's wants to develop their IP. You know, so this is the good and the bad of Marvel. Like now everybody's got to have like a big universe that they can set a bunch of stuff in. But I think that's a good thing more than it is a bad thing. But also there is so much content out there nowadays. It's impossible to keep on top of everything that's
It's
coming out.
crazy.
I learned about some of this stuff years after it came out. And I'm a slow consumer of episodic television. I've gone into it before. I know we're in this supposed new golden age of TV, but I'm still a cinephile. I still go for a good 2 hour movie over like 23 hours of TV. Back to this. So Darius Bowman, he's now a dinosaur enthusiast. This is 6 years after the events of Camp Cretaceous. Okay. And he's aiding the Department of Prehistoric Wildlife. Yeah. The DPW is now a thing in the Jurassic World movies. And we'll talk more about that because they will come back. He's assisting them in capturing and protecting dinosaurs. Darren Barnett voices Kenji Khan, a skilled climbing instructor, and Darius's adoptive brother who replaces Ryan Potter from the original series. Sean Giambroni returns as Ben Pincus, who's now a conspiracy theorist who discovers a looming danger to his friends and seeks to reunite them. Kauser Muhammad plays Yasmina Yaz Fadula, who's grappling with severe PTSD while attending college. Rainey Rodriguez reprises her role as Sammy Gutierrez, Yaz's girlfriend who now runs her family's ranch. And then, as we said, Kirsten Kelly voices Brooklyn, replacing Jenna Ortega. This is Brooklyn's Kenji's ex-girlfriend who was presumed dead after a suspicious Allosaurus attack, but later reemerges with a missing hand. All right.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of recurring characters. We'll skip over that because we're only talking about this one episode. The notable dinosaurs from previous media include the trained Atrociraptors, Ghost, Panthera, Tiger, and Red that were introduced in Dominion, as well as Bumpy, Ben's Ankylosaurus companion. Big Edie, a Tyrannosaurus from Manta Corp Island, and Edie is spelled Eatie. Big Edie. Other dinosaurs included a blind Allosaurus implicated in Brooklyn's presumed death. It may be that blind Allosaurus, I don't know if this is the case or not, but this may be the Allosaurus that was shot in the eye by the crossbow bolt from the previous short. See how this is all sort of ties together. I don't know if that's canon or not. That's my at least fan theory. Blonde and brunette, a pair of Beckless spinexes. Major, a captive Majungasaurus. Geba, a Gallimimus on Mbalo Farm. Gordon, a one-footed Compsognathus. A blind leucistic baryonyx, a rogue pyroraptor from Biosyn Valley, and Smoothie, a baby ankylosaurus hatched from Bumpy's egg and cared for by Kenji. All right, this episode is called Moratori Te Salutant.
Is this we who are about to die salute you?
Yes, this is from the Latin. It's what gladiators would say at the beginning of a match or tournament. Those who are about to die salute you. All right. Remember that phrase because we're going to come back to that in a later episode here. This one opens with Ben has traced Barry's phone and leaves with Davy to return him. Darius and Yaz use flares to corral the escaped dinosaurs and lead them underground to protect vulnerable civilians. The handler calls her Atrociraptors, I think is how you say it, and reaches the extraction point as the helicopter lands and attacks Santos, but she overpowers her. Brooklyn joins Santos and commands the Atrociraptor Red to kill the handler, but it ultimately refuses, and all four raptors remain loyal to her. Santos then summons her trained Carnotaurus, which quickly kills the Atrociraptor ghost. The handler attempts to control the Carnotaurus herself, but's killed, and this causes the remaining raptors to flee. When Darius and Yaz arrive, Brooklyn stalls Santos by trying to convince her to spare them, allowing Ben to tranquilize the Carnotaurus. Barry and French intelligence agents arrest Santos, finally bringing her to justice. I take it she was a long-running villain in this series. Brooklyn discards her prosthetic arm before having a cheerful reunion with her friends. After thanking Davy and Barry for their help, Brooklyn, Ben, Darius, and Yaz leave in Santos's helicopter with plans to stop Biosyn. Meanwhile, Kenji, Sammy, and Smoothie reach the edge of Biosyn Valley and set off to search for Bumpy. Okay.
This I will go back and watch the rest of it. I really liked the evil corporation. I'm like, we're just going in on it, and I love it. The weaponization of the dinosaurs, it's I think Becca was like, it's like, oh, so you know how in a Pokemon fight where it's like, yeah, no, we're just gonna have the Pokemon fight each other. They're like, nah, we're not doing that. Eat that guy. Go on, eat the trainer. And literally, I don't know all the backstories to these different factions, but it was a great standoff there. I loved it. All the characters had different complex backstories. It reminded me of It, in that these are all kids who went through this thing when they were together when they were young, and then as adults they had to come back and deal with it again. They're gathering together.
Yep.
Notably, people around them are getting eaten. They are not. It's a threat to them, but it's the same way. It's like somebody who's been dealing with zombies their whole life. They're like, yeah, no, we know what's up. Okay, we got to help these regular people because they do not know how to deal with this.
Yeah, it's The Walking Dead. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
All right. So I'll say my complaints are one, once again, the human character models, not good, not as good as the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs, once again, are good. It's set on Malta, which I liked. Pretty cool setting for this. Personal pet peeve.
Yeah.
There's a chase on Vespas. I own a couple of Vespas. All right. Now, they are leading the dinosaurs with flares, a long running trope in this. But my problem is they are riding through the streets holding the flares in their right hand and driving with their left. If you want to accelerate a Vespa, you need to use your right hand on the handlebars and your left hand holding the flare. You are laughing, but I think this is pretty much true of a lot of motorcycles too.
No, I love it.
They went through all this trouble to model the Vespas to look right, and then they got the mechanics of the Vespa wrong.
Okay, so I'm thinking of two other movies that use Vespas or Vespa inspired things, and now I'm like, okay, now we gotta go back and check and see how that worked. Because but I love this because I thought you're gonna be like, no, there's no way they would be fast enough. They wouldn't be able to deal with it. No, no, no. It's very specifically, oh yeah, they wouldn't be able to accelerate because of the wrong. Yes. Like you once again, Eric, your nerdery has exceeded my expectations. Mwah, love it. Chef's kiss.
Yeah, well, it's not just accelerating. Like if you take your hand off of that accelerator, it's gonna slowly slow down until it stops. You know, like so that was my big pet peeve with this. I also thought that someone here was attacked by a raptor, and I found it a little hard to believe that they would survive a raptor attack. But speaking of that, the Carnotaurus versus the Velociraptors is our Dino Battle of the Week. And the winner is the Carnotaurus.
Yeah.
Mostly because it kills one Velociraptor and the rest run away. So there we go. That's our Dino Battle of the Week. Overall, I agree. This is superior, I think, to Camp Cretaceous based on only seeing one episode of each of them.
Yeah.
And I think it's, again, you know, now they're older, they're college age and stuff like that. And there's something about the age of the protagonists and the age of the target audience or something. Like when you make it kids as protagonists, somehow they're, even though they're trying to avoid this as much as possible, somehow it has to be more kidified. Because you can't make it for adults with kid heroes for some reason. I don't know why. But if it has kid heroes, then the audience is kids, you know? If you have teen heroes, then the audience is teens, you know? Which I totally don't subscribe to.
No, and you know, as a matter of fact, okay, so going back to some early geekery, the reason why Star Wars was so appealing to kids is there wasn't a kid hero. Because we didn't want to be we wanted to be cool like Luke or cool like Han, or honestly, I'm a Chewbacca fan, so whatever. But like,
but episode 1 is Anakin. That's the first episode.
Oh God, sucks so bad. But anyway, and then here's an inversion. His Dark Materials, bro. They did a movie version of it. Was trash, but his Dark Materials, the series. Oh, I can't remember.
It's like the Golden Compass and all that, right?
Exactly. Freaking awesome. And it's the kids are the focus. But the thing is, the world is not kidified for them. As a matter of fact, the world is fucked up. So it is so good that way. Yeah, I just 100% I'm like, you don't have to do it that way, but we do have this tendency. And so we get more adult themes in this. And I think that helps a lot. It makes it better. The human animation is still kind of crappy, but it's probably over the hump for me though. I'm like, yeah, I really want to go back and find out about the handler. I want to find that, honestly, it's the two, I don't know, they're not player characters. They're not our main cast. And they had a standoff and there was all this history behind it. And I want to know more about that. So yeah, I'm like, yeah, cool characters.
So of the 3 shorts we've watched this week, Camp Cretaceous, Escape from Isla Nublar, Jurassic World Battle at Big Rock, and Jurassic World Chaos Theory Morituri Te Salutant, which is your pick for the best one?
It's hard, but yeah, I'm gonna say Morituri Te Salutant. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite. Yeah. I am gonna say Battle at Big Rock, and the reason I say that is Battle at Big Rock is one contained story, whereas the others are episodes from a longer thing. But also, Battle at Big Rock to me maximized live action and special effects like a live action movie would be, in a way that the animated episodes did not maximize what an animated movie would be like. So that's kind of it just comes down to, I feel like they had a lot more. My guess is like the budget for that short equaled the budget for the entire series of the TV, right? So like there was a lot of time and effort put into like making that short.
I kind of agree. I was going off my decision was between those two, between Morituri and Battle of Big Rock, and Morituri makes me want more. Battle of Big Rock is contained. Okay, it's self-contained. Oh, and this is just a criticism before. I believe that she fired 2 shots in rapid succession, which that's not happening with a crossbow.
I'm going to excuse it for this because I
Yeah,
think what happened, and I'm not positive, but I think what happened is she had 2 different crossbows.
that would be cool. Okay, yeah,
I'd have to go back and confirm that, but I think she had 2 crossbows, shot one, dropped it, shot the other.
yeah, fair. Okay, cool. Yeah, no, but the overall definitely, like I said, I went off like I want some more of this, and there's more to be had versus Battle of Big Rock, which there's not more to be had? Question mark. So, well, it's one of the 6 of one, half dozen the other. But I definitely see where you'd be like, yeah, that is the superior one between those two. So.
So apparently, according to the internet, it is a double crossbow.
Oh snap! All right, I think we could have used a little bit more viewing, maybe, of Chekhov's crossbow, so we make that clear. But excellent, I love it.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, it is supposedly a 2-shot crossbow. That about does it for this week. If you like the show, subscribe, give us a good rating, give us a good review, tell other people about it. Anything you can do to help out the show. If you want to talk to us, the best way to do that is to email us at GC8podcast. That's letter G, letter C, number 8 podcast at gmail.com. Until next time, this is Eric.
And this is Will.
Signing off.